Welcome to the Pharos Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Fit podcast. I hope you're well out there. We have the Limitless Challenge coming up starting next week on January the 18th. So I thought this would be a good time to bring in two specialists who have either been through the Limitless Challenge before and done very well at it, and had great success in the challenge and taken those successes on into their daily life. Or I have another person with us today who's going to talk a lot about nutrition, macronutrients, and that kind of thing. So I think this is going to be a really useful podcast, either if you are doing the Limitless Challenge or you're thinking about doing it or thinking about doing it in the future. We're hopefully going to give you a lot of information today that's going to be super helpful for you. I have Monsieur Arthur Guillosson with me.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, monsieur. And I have Roby Goldin with me. Hey, Roby.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Real good. Real good. So Arthur, I kind of want to start with you. And let's go right back to the beginning before you were the kind of the fitness figure that you are now in the age before. What was your journey into fitness? How did you find fitness? And what made you choose fitness as your career path?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to talk about the fact that I did not grow up an athlete. I did not identify as an athlete. I didn't play sports when I was a kid. And I kind of came to fitness later on in life, actually. I found fitness, and I really want to say that fitness saved my life. A long time ago in another life was not leading the most healthiest life. I've been sober for almost 5 years now. And I think that it's in early sobriety that I found fitness. And the way it started was I got the opportunity to train with a group to go hike Mount Whitney. For those of you who don't know, it's the highest mount in continental America. And it's like a solid hike, very, very solid. And so I thought to myself that if I can achieve this, then I can, achieve anything in fitness. And that's kind of like how it started for me, right? So it did not started with walking into a gym and pumping myself full of protein right away.
It started with something in the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And was it hard when you did it? Was it?
Yes, it was super hard and super uncomfortable, It was frustrating at time. I didn't have the cardiovascular capacity that I do now. So yeah, it was really hard. And there were moments where, you're in the middle of the hike and you're like, I'm tired, get me off this mountain. I want to go home. I want to go back to bed. But it led to a lot of different things. 6 months later, once I proved to myself that I was capable of doing this, I registered to run the LA Marathon, and was in 2017. Full disclosure, it took me 6 hours to complete.
But you did it.
But I did it, yeah. I ran halfway, and halfway through I had to walk the rest. So it took me 6 hours, but I am so damn proud of myself for doing it.
Was it lungs that gave out, or was it muscles?
It was muscle. Get to West Hollywood, and the knees locked out. Completely locked out. So, yeah. So yeah. But yeah, and I a little bit later joined Pharos. It was my first experience with a gym of this caliber. I've walked in and tried a couple a big gym, big corporate gym, and that of course never did anything for me. And it's not until I walked into Pharos that I started experimenting with fitness. And I think that it's definitely like one of the most important thing at Pharos is the diversity of program that we offer.
Right.
I think that my first class was with Sarah. It was a spin class, a ride class. And I think that Pharos was not officially opened, I think, yet. There's still construction going on.
Radar.
Yeah. I think that there's still it was just a spin class, and I just told to myself, it was my first time in a fitness class, and I was like, I kind of like this. Let me see how it goes, you know?
Well, I think that's such a common thing. Like a lot of people, when they first start going to the gym, they just kind of show up at the gym and they have no real like plan or idea what they're doing, and they just kind of walk around for a bit and maybe do a tricep press down or spend 20 minutes on a cross trainer or something, and they don't really like, you know, obviously they don't get anything out of it because they don't have a plan, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know like how to push themselves. And that's the beauty of when you come into a class situation, is like you know you're being told what to do, you're being helped through it, and that has huge value. And I think it's super interesting that you came to this place after overcoming two huge physical obstacles, because usually and mental obstacles, because usually you might like find the gym first and then think, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself to climb a mountain or do a marathon. But you kind of did it the other way around. It's like, I'm going to jump into the deep end, I'm going to climb a mountain, I'm going to run a marathon, and then I'm going to join the gym.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
But in its way, you're right. I think that like, you know, identify myself as an introvert.
Right.
So I think that like walking into a gym can be really intimidating for a lot of people.
For sure, yeah.
And that in some ways, you know, climbing up a mountain or running for 6 hours is much easier to do because I don't have to interact with anybody else.
Right. It is kind of can be a solo pursuit. You can just be in your own brain. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I see
absolutely.
that. Wow. So you came to Pharos, you did the ride class, and you know, was it from that point on, was it like a light switch? You were like, this is something that I'm going to do.
Oh, that's a good question. No, actually, I think it took me a little bit of time. I knew that I walked into the rooms and I knew that this was going to be my training home. Now, how far into that world was I going to go? I did not have any idea on my first class, right? I think that like, you know, it started with ride, and I enjoyed ride so much that like that's all I was doing for like a month, and then somehow somebody pushed me to our train, right? And then that's all I was doing for a month, then little by little I started experimenting and taking different classes to the point where like, you know, it was a very like self-discovering process that was definitely contingent of like what was available to me. Like I would have never tried something like the fly class or gymnastic program on my own. I tried it because it was here and somebody invited me there, and I fell in love with it. And I think that like for 6 months, I have not missed a fly class.
Right. And that was kind of always something we had in mind, was you have to kind of lower the barrier to entry, in that not everybody is going to be ready to jump into a build class or a hybrid class or something that is slightly more technical. Everybody needs to start somewhere, and everyone feels more comfortable in certain areas. But once they're in the building and once they see other people like them doing these other classes, they might think to themselves, you know what, maybe this is something I could try. And suddenly they become more experimental and more interested, and you know, the curtains of apprehension kind of go away a little bit, and they start to really open up and open themselves up to more opportunities and more adventures and more challenges. So I'm glad that I'm glad that's what you experienced, because that was always kind of like what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, like, but before we opened, you know, a lot of people would like peer into a CrossFit gym, see a lot of big dudes throwing a lot of weight around, and just kind of be like, oof.
I would never have stepped foot in a gym like that.
So it's like you almost have to like coax people into the environment that you ultimately want for them, because you believe in strength training and you believe in lifting and you want them to experience these things. But sometimes you can't expect people to go from zero to that and be comfortable.
Absolutely. And I think that like you write about this, like, you know, something that happened when I walked into Pharos is that I looked around and like, wait, those people kind of look like me. You know, like there was like, of course, I think I've noticed you, and like, you know, you're the size you are. I was like, ooh, who's this dude? Like this big guy, like he looks serious. And I talked to you and you were the nicest guy. I remember that, like, oh my God. Like I remember Emily asking me one time, it's like, do you think Pete is intimidating? And I remember saying like, not as much as you are. Like, you know,
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. So I can't remember. So remind me, like, how far into your membership did you do the first challenge? Had you been here for?
And his face just like lit up. He was like, "Oh my god!"
How far into the membership that I started the first challenge?
It was in your first year, right?
It was my first year. I think it was. Let's see. So I became a member 3 years ago, and I think that the first challenge was that I've done. Actually, I think I probably missed the first one, and I just did the second one. So it was probably like what? Like I want to say 3 months into my my membership. Yeah, okay. Probably 3 months in my membership.
And at that point, you felt comfortable in doing something like that. You were ready for the challenge, and you felt.
You know, I don't think that you. Well, first of all, let me start by saying that I love the challenge. I love the challenge so much, and for so many different reasons. But to me, the challenge is like the embodiments of the 7 anchors of Pharos, right? When you look at the challenge and what Pharos stands for, talking about like, you know, showing up is essential. It's step number 1. We built on that. Building others, the community is buzzing. I've never met more people than while doing the challenge. And I think that, like, you know, for somebody who's been on both sides of the challenge, who's been a challenger and who's coached it and been responsible for a team, the people who were successful were the people who found their crew, the people who found the people around them that are like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow at 6, right? Yeah. And people who were never morning people per se would turn into 6 a.m.ers and to this day are still 6 a.m.ers, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a real united spirit that happens during the challenge. You know, and obviously this one will be a little bit different because, you know, a lot of stuff is going to be virtual.
Absolutely.
Obviously we do have like the outside gym, so a lot of people will do that. But yeah, this one, it will be interesting because it is different. But you know, I noticed the same thing happening now with the virtual studio and the faces that I see in the mornings, is that, you know, that same thing is happening. Like they are holding each other accountable.
Exactly.
Like they support each other. They check in with each other. And that's always been such a huge thing for us. Like the group dynamic is such a powerful tool. And it's so apparent during the challenge. We do believe results are accelerated in a fixed timeline and under the conditions of the group dynamic. It's just a kind of a magical thing that happens. I don't believe we were meant to like be isolated and like always train on our own and that kind of thing. I think we are much more, we experience a lot more joy, a lot more fun, a lot more motivation when we are training with others who are, you know, enjoying the path with us. It's just, you know, it's just one of those things.
No, totally. But to come back to your question, like, was I feeling ready? Not necessarily. I was just willing to experiment. So I think that, like, you know, the challenge, like whether you feel ready or not, doesn't really matter. It's whether or not are you like willing to try something new for a little bit. You're not locked in. You're not, you know, it's not a contract in blood. I'm gonna like, you know, wake up at 6 a.m. every day and completely revolutionize the way I lead my life now. But more like, okay, for 6 weeks, I have opportunities to try some things and see if like it's gonna stick, if I like it, if it's for me or if it's not, you know. And like it's a very like, you know, it's not a big investment. 6 weeks is like almost nothing. You blink and it's gone, you know.
I love that. Like I don't have to feel completely ready. I just have to be willing.
Absolutely.
That's a great note.
Yep.
And So just so you guys know, the main reason why Arthur is here is because he's basically like a 3-peat champion. He basically won it 3 years back to back. We used to, it isn't so much on this challenge, but prior to this challenge, we had a system where, you know, you would get a certain amount of points for fat loss, you would get a certain amount of points for muscle gained, and a certain amount of points for the sessions you attended. And there were other challenges that were built in where you could gain points, but Arthur always lost a ton of fat, always gained a ton of muscle, and always attended a fuckload of classes, basically. So he basically won 3 years in a row. So, you know, what do you think? I mean, what were the reasons why you were so successful? Was because you showed up a lot.
Yeah.
But what were the other reasons? Why do you think you were so good at this and so successful at this? Having had no real, like, as you mentioned, like past or experience in fitness, how did you do it so efficiently and so effectively?
I would say that I went into it with that mentality of telling myself that, like, look, it's 6 months. This is the range of possibility. Would you be willing to just go all out and see where that will take you? And I think that, like, for instance, like, I did not won my first challenge. I did not won the third one, but every single time that I've done the challenge, I picked up like a little nuggets of knowledge or a little habits here and there. And I think that, like, by my fourth one was the first time I actually won it, because I knew kind of like what it meant to be in that challenge. And it was not always necessarily like losing the most fats or gaining the most muscle. It was primarily like, I will be the one that will show up consistently. And if you like hang out at a barbershop, eventually you will get a haircut. And that's kind of like how it happened to me, right? I showed up and the result followed. So I definitely went into it with a mindset that was like, let me see what is possible, what it means to be limitless. What if I were to make this like one of my top priority and see where it leads me? Little did I know that, like, it would lead to like a full-on obsessive passion career, a couple months later. So
I feel like what's so important there is that you didn't go into it like with like any pressure on yourself. Like, you just went into it and you were just like with this open mind and like open heart, and there was no like fear of, well, what if I don't get X, Y, and Z?
You're right.
And I think that a lot of times people are like afraid of things like this because they put just way too much pressure on themselves to like hit some certain goal. But it's like, if you can just, and that's, I mean, it's like a beautiful metaphor for life.
Yeah, I agree. It's like freedom. Basically, you went into it with a ton of freedom. You weren't like, oh my God, but what if I fail? Oh my God, but what if this doesn't happen? Oh my God, but what if I'm not good at this? Like, you just went in with a free mind and were just like, whatever happens. I'm just going to give it 100%.
Right.
Which is so important. And how much of the success that you achieved was to do with nutrition, and how much of it was to do with working out?
Oh, okay. I think that, like, everything, there's like, pillar to body recomposition. I think that, like, for me, what I really needed to tune in was my recovery. All of them, honestly, like my nutrition, my recovery, and my working out. So some challenges, I would say I pushed it a little too far and became a little too obsessive, whether it would be my workouts or whether it would be my nutrition. I, at some point, get really strict with the way I was eating. And I remember also for one of the challenge, we had this extra credit, which was run. I think
Run
like,
lap
what
in the
was it?
park?
Yeah, no, not, we had the run in the park, but we also had like on your own run, I think like 50K or 10K or something on your own. And I was not a coach here yet. I was still a member, and I came to build at 6 a.m. I went to repair afterward. I went to ride afterward.
Oh,
and I think that you saw me in the main gym running on the skill mill by myself. And you came up to me and you're like, how long have you been at the gym for? You were here at 5:30. What time is it? It's 2:00. Go home. And I think that you sent out an email afterwards saying like, guys, like, it's great to push your limits, but there's a fine line between like being obsessive and being actually healthy.
Well, but that is the thing. And it is, when you do become passionate about something and you are really enjoying something, it's very easy to do too much of it and get kind of carried away and kind of lose yourself in it. So it is important to sometimes take a step back and just, put some stuff back into the bank. If you're constantly taking stuff out, there's a point where you'll just like burn out or get sick or get hurt or get injured or that kind of thing. So, but that's what we're here for.
That's true. Yeah.
We're here not just to like rally people up and get people to do more. It's also about balance and about trying to create a healthy, well-balanced day. Healthy minds, healthy bodies, healthy nutrition, healthy rest, healthy recovery, all that kind of stuff. It's not just about how hard can we make people work.
Yeah, because I think that like we can all agree that what makes this sustainable, like any fitness program or any body recomposition you want to get through, any goals you have, the number one thing is consistency, right?
Sure.
So we can't go into this with like all out for 6 weeks. I'm never gonna have a cookie ever again in my life. Chances are you'll probably not be able to sustain that. It's good to like push yourself outside your comfort zone because that's where growth is. But we want to make this sustainable. We want to make this something that will outlast the 6 weeks, whether it's like, just a habit, going to bed a little bit earlier, drinking a little more water, being a little more mindful of what you put into your body and moving with purpose. Or like, it can lead into like, oh, wow, I'm feeling great. I want to experiment more. I want to see if I can push this to the next level. But I think that it starts with this curiosity of like, okay, those are the tools that are available to you. Do you want to try playing with macros? Do you want to try like, sticking to a fitness routine that's going to be a little bit different than what you've experienced so far? Absolutely. Sign me up. I'm only here for like, a little bit and I want to see what's possible.
Right. That's a great way to look at it. And then, so at what point, at what challenge or after what challenge or at what point in this journey did you realize this is what I really want to do with my life? Like fitness is the path for me.
I would say that definitely walking into Pharos planted the seed. And the first challenge that I've done kind of like completely watered the soil. I think that after my first challenge, I realized this is it. This is what I want to do. And it was not necessarily just my transformation and the way my body changed and how much I discovered my love for the exercise, but how much the quality of lives of the people around me improved. People that did not define themselves as lifters or athletes, how many of them and their attitude and their story, how much that changed. And I was like, wow, I want to be a part of that. I want to help somebody else going through what I've been through and better their life just like this. So I think that I would say, let's see, I've been a member at Pharos for 3 years, and I started working at Pharos maybe 2.5 years ago. So yeah,
that's great.
Actually, pretty soon afterward.
I mean, as a business owner and as someone who's been in fitness a long time, when you see that spark in someone who's as passionate as Arthur was about fitness, you kind of know where it's headed. You kind of know, okay, this guy's in. This guy wants to become a coach. He wants to help people. And that's how a coach should be. It's not the pursuit of being the best fitness person. It's the pursuit of help. I want to help as many people as I can experience what I've just experienced. And that is why fitness is essential, because it really can change people's lives for the better. And your story in particular, I mean, there are so many people I've spoken to, so many stories about people who have suffered through addiction or, have had bad periods in their lives. And it was fitness that really helped bring them out of it. And it gave them like a new journey and a new path. So, for us, it's way more than just bicep curls.
Absolutely.
I mean, bicep curls are essential.
They're essential.
They're essential. But yeah,
fundamental.
there's a lot more than just the physical side of things. So Ruby, let's bring you in at this point, because Arthur's just touched on obviously the nutritional side of things and how that was an important part of this trifecta between working out, recovery, and nutrition. And one of them alone never works. You need the combination of the three to truly be effective. And one thing I've really noticed with you, in the last couple of years is just how dramatically your body has changed, but also how good you've been, how controlled, balanced, dedicated, prepared you have been with your nutrition. So I kind of want to bring you in and ask you how did that happen? Because I'm not assuming you haven't always been this way with nutrition, food.
Right.
So how did it happen, and tell us about your kind of journey to this point?
Well, first of all, I just think it's really interesting. When I was listening to Arthur talk, I also didn't grow up as an athlete, and I'm also somewhat introverted. So I just think that's like very interesting. And we both like came to Pharos and like, and now work here. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that when I think back to like even in like high school and college, like I went to the gym. Like I have memories of like going to the YMCA and like doing like being on a treadmill and like trying different machines and having literally no idea what I was doing. I was just walking in blindly, like didn't understand fitness at all. Like and it's just really funny to like think back on that now and just how like lost I was just wandering around this world as a woman trying to fit these ideals that I was looking at like magazine covers and I was like, okay, I want like that body. And definitely had my fair share of, kind of like I want to say like an eating disorder, but definitely disordered, not a great relationship with food. And it was always, I was like trying to like reach this ideal of like losing weight. Like I just want to be skinnier. And there was a time that a friend told me, she was like, yeah, my friend like just is like so skinny right now. She got these pills from China. Like I'll send you the link. And I got those pills and I lost a bunch of weight because I wasn't eating and like it was very unhealthy. And so yeah, like I've been through all of that. And
I think that's very common, by the way.
Yeah. Every girl I know, every friend of mine has struggled. And it's just really interesting why that is. And for me, I now look at food as just fuel for my body and like a source of nutrition. And how can I use, like I have to eat anyway. So how can I use my food to change, not to change my body, but like also that's very interesting to me because
I think that's the big thing when people categorize food as fuel, as opposed to some kind of like sin, like
like I used to be
guilt of like I'm eating food so I should feel guilty.
I used to be, I was like, oh, I don't eat carbs, like I don't eat dairy, like I ate nothing and deprived myself constantly, and then would sit at home eating like a half jar of peanut butter and then wondering like why I didn't look a certain way or whatever. So it's been like I did so many different challenges and at different gyms and nothing ever worked. And then I came to Pharos and was introduced to macros and introduced to Lizzie and learned like how to, and it was literally just like, look, like you need protein for this, you need carbs for this, you should be eating bread, like go buy some pasta, like eat the cookie and then like enjoy it and savor it and like go work out and it's all good. Like you don't be afraid of food. And that was just like such a complete mind shift. So I just like, I stopped having this like, ooh, that's bad. It was just like, don't overdo it, but like, enjoy the cookie. And it's been a very interesting journey.
And tell us about your kind of like your process with your, how you organize your food, how you organize what you're going to eat that day, because I know you're very kind of like specific about it.
So I have a coach, and
everyone needs a coach.
Yes, every I have a coach. My coach has a coach. Her coach even has a coach. Like everyone needs someone to like hold them accountable, I think. And so we have. I'm basically given like a set of macros, and it's broken down by meal. I eat 5 meals a day. And each meal I'm hitting a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs, and a certain amount of fat. And I eat more carbs around my workouts and more fat later in the day. And so I use an app that I love called My Macros.
My Macros? My
Macros Plus is actually what it's called. And I input my food in there and I weigh my food out every day. And at this point I've been doing it for so long that it's like I'm just copying, pasting meals. It's just very routine, but like I do I make all my meals the day before, and I definitely spend like a lot of time meal prepping and like preparing food and making sure I have food. And It's like I come home and I'm just like, all right, let me just like make a chicken breast real quick. So I got like chicken for the next 2 days, and like, let me cut up some Brussels sprouts and roast them real quick. But it's like, it's not like a one day, like spending all of Sunday meal prepping a bunch of stuff and like stressing myself out. It's just, I did used to do that. And now it's like ingrained into my life.
So you spend a little bit of time every day preparing for the next day?
Basically, yeah.
Like an hour a day?
Yeah, maybe. Right. And I just make sure I'm just like, it's like a puzzle. Like I'm just hitting them. I'm just trying to hit numbers, and it takes, there's no feeling attached to the food. It's just like, this is just a tool. This I need to eat, and how can I use this to my benefit? Yeah,
it's almost like taking the emotion out of food. We talk a lot about like emotional eating and that kind of stuff. And you're just taking the emotion out. And it's almost like a number. I'm looking at a bunch of numbers on a plate.
Yeah, yeah. And I do eat food that I love.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, I don't, I'm like, I love everything I make. Like I have 5 meals today, and I'm like super stoked about every single one of them.
That's great.
I love eating.
But when you look at the stuff you're making too.
Yeah, what are your kind of go-tos? Like, what are your consistents that are kind of usually in your daily? Like, is it chicken? Is it salmon?
Yeah, so I'm also weird because I was a vegetarian for most of my life, and pretty much just started eating chicken when I was like, oh, I need more protein.
Right.
So my meals are like, it's either gonna be like egg whites with like potatoes and toast if it's like around a workout, or like overnight oats with like protein powder mixed in. I always have a salad. There's always a huge salad because as you get like, as the carbs go down, you need to like really fill up, voluminous food. So big salad with chicken and like goat cheese and beets or something. That's maybe what I'm eating today. And then usually something with like chicken again with pasta of some sort, vegetables, quinoa, sweet potatoes. I love vegetables. So I'll mix all that stuff together, and then usually end every night with fluff, which is...
Yeah, I've noticed that, yeah. What is fluff?
So fluff was created, I think she created it, this woman, Michelle McDonald, and it's literally just protein powder and ice, but you like blend it forever, and like a little bit of milk, and you blend it forever, and it just gets like super fluffy. And it's just like, so again, it's like something that's very voluminous, but like not dense.
Right.
And it just like, it fills you up so much. It feels like ice
like
cream.
Candy floss.
What'd you say?
It looks like candy floss.
Candy floss?
Candy floss. Do you get a fair?
Cotton candy.
Oh. I've never heard that before. Yes, exactly. It's like fluffy. So yeah, that every night I end with that, and it's like the best treat to me.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, so you have 5 meals a day. Is the fluff one of those meals, or is that extra?
It's a meal.
And then, so you have 4 other meals, and these are all like full meals. You're not like snacking on protein bars or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
that was also a huge thing. Like I would eat protein bars.
Most of your calories and macros are coming from real food.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, the protein powder is kind of like, but it helps.
So. You eat red meat or no?
I don't. No. And I'm trying to like get into fish, but I don't really like seafood that much. So
it's not, you don't like not eat for like moral reasons. It's just you don't really like the taste of it.
Yeah. Because I didn't eat any meat for so long. I think I just didn't develop any interest in it.
And do you take supplements?
Yes.
What do you take?
I take a multivitamin. I take fish oil. I take digestive enzymes. I take probiotics. And at night I take like magnesium, calcium, and I think that's everything. What did you say?
You take vitamin D?
I think it's in my multivitamin. It's in the multivitamin. And yeah, I will say that like I think the most important things are just like the multivitamin and the fish oil. But I do find for me, just like gut health wise, like the digestive enzymes and the probiotics are super helpful. Yeah.
And how long have you been kind of like eating this way now? Has this just been the last year, or was it?
I mean, it's been on and off. Like I first started doing this in 2019, and then I kind of like fell off of it and like gained some weight, and then like got back on it. And but I've been like pretty consistent, like all of 2020, I would say.
Yeah, because I mean, this year I've just really noticed how much you've changed in your body, but also in the way that you train, your presence in the gym, your presence as a coach has really, really dramatically changed this year, like improved this year, and it's been amazing to see.
Thank you.
How much do you think because when you go into a session, your own training session, I notice you have a lot of energy, you lift heavy. How much of that has been because of the way you're eating now?
Oh, like 100%.
Right.
Yeah. I used to like come in and like, I can't even remember what I like ate before this time now, but I definitely was not fueling my body properly at all. And it's like these little things that like in the moment you think like, oh, whatever, does it really matter? But over time, it's like a year into it, you're seeing the progress of like your muscles building, and it's because I'm fueling myself afterwards, and it's, you know, because I'm getting enough sleep every night, but it's just like all these little habits that have built over time.
Yeah. I mean, this is a lot what we're talking about with this challenge is positive habit building, just adding little things, you know, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that step by step help you improve your daily life, your weekly life, your monthly life, and of course your life overall. What time of day do you usually train? Does it change every day, or you're always kind of training at the same time?
I wish it was consistent. I ideally would love to train first thing in the morning if I could, but sometimes I can't because of work. So yeah. And
do you eat, if you are training early, do you eat before you train?
Yeah. It's not my favorite thing because it's like I don't wake up wanting like a big carby meal, but like that's when I'll usually do like overnight oats because it's just like super easy. Yeah. But yeah, I make sure to do that because like, yeah, I mean, I want to feel like, otherwise I just won't feel as good during the workout.
And then you'll have your bigger carb meal directly after training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's super helpful and super interesting for people to listen to Ruby and realize, you know, she eats bread, like she was saying, she eats oats, she eats carbs. She's not afraid of those things. It actually helps her train better. It actually helps her improve her physique. Because I do think that, you know, there's still like a huge stigma attached to certain types of foods, you know, what we should and what we shouldn't be eating, and people sort of taking foods out of context and not really realizing how beneficial they can be if they are consumed in the right amounts at the right time,
right,
et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you don't want to go overboard. And like, I mean, I will say that I have certain things like I don't include because I know that like I could eat cereal, but I don't because that's something I know I would just like sit and eat the whole box, you know, but like, so it's like, yeah, it's just finding what works for you. And I will say that this 5 meals a day where you're sitting there weighing out your food and it's like every meal fits these perfect macros. It's like, that's just when you have a specific goal that I have, you know, it's not like everyone in the world, every ordinary person should just be doing this, but it's like if you're interested in changing your physique, then it's like when you weigh out your food to bake the best cake you can. If you want to like build the best body and that's interesting to you and it's not coming from a place of like, oh, I hate my body and I want to change it, but it's like a curiosity of like, oh, well, like, wow, how can I change my body? Like, how interesting is this? Like, if I tweak this and eat this, like, how does it change? And it's coming, from that place, then I think that it's not a bad thing.
And I think also an interesting thing, and you can stop me if I'm wrong here, but you probably feel better and look better than you ever have, but you're also probably heavier than you've ever been.
Yeah.
Am I right in that?
Totally. Yeah.
And because there's a huge thing that's obviously with women and weight and thinking, I should be this weight, I should be that weight. But like I'm saying, you are who you are now, and you're the heaviest you've been, and it's a great thing. Yeah,
it's actually funny. I had a friend recently. He was like, I know this is like not a question I should ask, but like I'm just curious, like how much do you weigh? Because like you're so strong or whatever. And I it took me like 2 seconds to tell him. Like I'll say right now, I'm 137 pounds, and I remember 5 years ago or something being like 130 and wanting to like kill myself because I was just like, oh my God, like I'm so fat. And now I'm like, it's just a number, you know? And and I do weigh myself every day to see like what's changing, but it's not like, oh my God, what do I weigh today? It's just like, just recording data, just kind of checking in.
Yeah, again, you're taking the emotion out of it.
Exactly.
It's just a number.
Yeah.
That's great. And I just want to ask you about the tracker that you use, because I know a lot of people doing the challenge are going to be tracking, and you prefer this one over MyFitnessPal, right?
I do.
And why is that?
I find it to be more accurate if you're weighing food in grams. Like it's really simple, customizable, and I think like you have to pay if you want to like see food, like the macro breakdown of food in MyFitnessPal, you have to like pay like a lot of money for that. And
like $5 a month or some $10 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, $40 for a year or $50 for a year.
That's not that bad. But my macros is like a one-time purchase of $4.99, and you get all of that.
Cheaper.
So
Much cheaper. Yeah.
And it's just So I just like it better. But so people who are working with me are using that one. I'm obviously not going to impose it on everyone.
No, that's great. I think it's just useful to have the information so people can like, experiment with both and try and see what they prefer.
Yeah.
And what are your like? You mentioned before your goals. Like, what are your goals from this point?
So I really just want to like keep seeing like where I can go with my body. Right now I'm in a cut, so I've built a bunch of muscle, and now I just want to see all that muscle. Like it's there, and there's just like a little bit of fat, and I just want to like cut a little bit and just like reveal.
And how are you doing that? You're increasing the cardio, or you
cutting calories? Or I'm like my calories have been reduced a little bit, but really not that much. And I went from like more of a strength training program to now a hypertrophy. Thank you. Yes, I don't know why that word is like so hard for me to say. Just changing my my workouts, and then of course it's like I have a coach who's like guiding me through this. So we're checking in. How are things? Like if things aren't working, maybe we'll increase the cardio, maybe we'll reduce the carbs a little bit. But our goal is for me to like not have to cut calories or carbs more than I like absolutely have to. So we're trying to just like, it's like how much can you eat while still losing.
Yeah. And do you find most of your clients are now coming to you with physique goals? And I mean, because I should also say Ruby is a Pilates coach as well, so I know a lot of people come to you for the Pilates coaching. But I noticed recently a lot of people are coming to you for physique goals because they're obviously noticing your physique. And when they do that, if it's a woman coming to you, does it take them a lot of convincing to start like eating more food? Do you find it challenging to get to eat more and all that kind of thing? Or
yeah, I mean, it's hard. I am very kind of selective with who I work with. Like I want to make sure that the people I work with are ready. Like this is work. Like I put a lot of time into, training, and the food prep and everything. And it's, and so you have to be like, it's like, do you really have the time for this? How important is this to you? Why do you want to do this? And again, it's like always coming back to, is this like coming from a positive place where you love your body and you just want to like nourish it and see what it can do? Or is it like coming from a negative place? And if so, then I'm going to like be like, okay, but also are you in therapy? Which like I think everyone should be. So, but yeah, so I would say that, the more that I'm on this journey and sharing it with, like on Instagram and stuff, it inspires people, especially because they see that it's like where I came from. It's not like I was just out of the womb, like, looking like this. So I think that makes it a little more approachable. Be like, I didn't play sports growing up. Like I was not athletic. Like we all start somewhere.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah. And I think you kind of touched on it there. Like the way that one person's fitness journey isn't necessarily going to work for another person. So you do have to find like the right coach, the right method, the right way of doing things that's going to suit your lifestyle. Because different things work for different people. And sometimes, too much information and too much guidance isn't a good fit for people. And sometimes they need like more freedom, more, they're not as serious, or they're not as like, they're not as dedicated as they would need to be to follow that kind of a program.
Yeah.
And Arthur, your fitness, I know you've had these back issues and you've got surgery coming up.
I'm waiting on back surgery. Exactly. Disc replacement surgery. And
that must have been hard for you. Like just knowing how passionate you are about fitness, and like, because Arthur was boxing, he was lifting, this guy was doing everything, and then had some back issues. He's had to back off. He's taken you took that time to get some. You got a new certification.
I did
in active life.
In nutrition actually. When quarantine started and I stopped being active and my back started acting up is when I studied for precision nutrition.
Yeah.
That was in March. So I took that time off and now I'm pouring it into other things. But it is very hard to stay away from working out, especially we all work here. It's you're seeing people on a daily basis accomplishing things that I wouldn't dream of doing now. Like even I see somebody like picking up a dumbbell. I want to pick up a dumbbell.
Right.
But I think that it's also very important, just like body recomposition. I think it's moving away from thinking that your body is a prison, or like today I'm fat and I'm gonna be fat for the rest of my life and I might as well give up. No, like today my body is in pain. And I might not always love the way my body look, but I always love my body. And I know that in 6 months from now, a year from now, I will be able to come back to the barbell and to come back to, workouts the way I used to. Or it might be something different. I'm not attached to how it's supposed to look like. I'm just attached to being active.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that about wraps it up. That was super helpful. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. It's and for everyone listening, because it's really helpful for people to, again, both of these guys didn't come from like super fit backgrounds. They weren't athletes growing up. They weren't sporty growing up. They came into it fairly late. And if you were in my position and you see how they behave on a daily basis and what they commit themselves to, what they experiment with, how they affect all the people around them, and how positive they are. It really is, it really is amazing to see. And it really is, again, it always makes me realize how essential fitness is and what it can do for people, for communities, for society, especially right now. So thank you so much for sharing your stories, your journeys, and your knowledge and your information. It's so valuable. And that is it for today, guys. You can still sign up for the Limitless Challenge. Again, we go live on Monday, January 18th. You can sign up on the app or on the website. We would love to have you guys. The more, the merrier. Apart from that, until next time, you guys take care, and we'll catch you real soon. Thanks guys.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.